Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the 6 Yard Banter. Your front row seat to the Premier League's top six drama with a Chelsea twist. Here, it's Chelsea first and rivals next. Alright, guys, that 3-1 loss to Bayern at Allianz Arena really stung, and I've taken my time to try to analyze or put together a few things that must have really gone wrong, which I actually took note of. I first gave my match preview or match reaction to the loss, but I feel like it's only right that we have the conversation as to what really went wrong and what Chelsea didn't do correctly last night against Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. Okay, if there was one thing that was really obvious yesterday during the game was the fact that the a lot of things were missing, and it was obvious that the boss, that's the Chelsea board, okay, have really done Maresca dirty. I don't know what I was thinking when I said Maresca. Okay, they must have. They've really. It was really showing that Enzo Maresca, his demands and needs for certain type of players were really obvious in the game yesterday. So let's quickly have a conversation on what went wrong with how Chelsea set up, how the squad was built, and how Maresca was let down by the boards this summer. Let's dig into what went wrong and what needs fixing, and let's have a conversation. So I'm going to start with the lapses in concentration. First thing, their own goal by Trevor Chalobah in the 20th minute. That's a lapse. Okay, a sloppy clearance under pressure. Then shortly after, Caicedo gave away a foul in the box for the penalty to Harry Kane. Those are two big presents given to Bayern Munich on a platter. Okay, the Chelsea had some decent spell. I'm not gonna lie about that. Okay, but good games at this level, okay, are unforgiving of mental errors. Bayern smelled blood and capitalized on it. The second penalty, which was in the 63rd minute goal, which was the 63rd minute goal. These are not just skill gaps; they are mistakes born from inexperience or lack of composure. It's a harsh lesson stepping from the conference or the Club World Cup into the Champions League's intensity. Which leads me to the second point, and it's talking about the big difference between the Conference League and the Champions League. Chelsea played well in the Conference League and in the domestic games, and many felt they were ready. A lot of fans were bigging up Chelsea and saying Chelsea were scary and this and that and yada. But the Bayern Munich game yesterday night exposed a big difference in speed, intensity, and details. The press, the movement, the way the Bayern punished even the smallest errors. Chelsea's transitions weren't sharp enough against world-class pressing. This is a stage where experience matters. Every touch counts. It's more than talent. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. The board keep buying players with potentials and this and that and all that. Well, we can see now yesterday that the Champions League stage goes beyond talent. It's about knowing when to slow play, when to press, when to drop. Chelsea need more of that in the squad, and we don't have that. The only player who does that most times than not is Romeo Lavia, and he spends more time in the sick bed than on the pitch. And I'm going to have my third point on that. Our midfield yesterday went missing, and then let's have a conversation on alternatives. Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo, they looked somewhat rattled yesterday, most times. Okay, they were not terrible. I'm not going to say they were extremely terrible, but they went missing for most part. They had patches of influence, but they also got exposed by Bayern's midfield press. Opportunities weren't created as freely as they usually do. The control was just lacking. There was no player that could keep a hold or get a hold of the game on in the Chelsea squad. With key players injured, Romeo Lavia still recovering, Levi Colwill out for most part of the season. Now Liam Delap and Darius Suga has also joined the list of injured players. Chelsea's depth yesterday was exposed, which begs the question: is it time to give Andre Santos more minutes ahead of Enzo Fernandez in certain games? Santos has been added to the Champions League squad alongside Facundo Buonanotte to cover injuries. Maybe Maresca needs to think about rotating more boldly, trusting young cover earlier, and especially when the first choice players are under pressure or unavailable. Then we'll have a discussion on experience. So my fourth talking point has to do with the experience. Okay, and we cannot emphasize or stress enough how important experience is crucial in the Champions League. Hurricanes class showed up yesterday. Cool penalty taken by him. He was very, very ruthless in the second half. He's played in this moment a million times over. Okay, Bayern's experience wins out in clutch moment. And there's a reason why Chelsea, it's not due to the fact that Chelsea won the Champions League under Tuchel due to Tuchel's tactical setup and traps and all that. It had to do with trusting players with experience. There was a time when Tuchel said he doesn't need to tell Thiago Silva how to defend and how to play from the back. It is because he knows that Thiago Silva has been in certain situations, has played football, and has the experience to know what the manager requires of him. How to read game, how to defend, how to set traps, and how to block. How to play dirty when necessary. Okay? And all this was lacking. I said in my last video yesterday where Roy Keane was talking about United players playing against Manchester City, and not one player was given a yellow card. Sometimes you need to take initiative to be able to do the dirty things, just to give your team the edge. All this comes from experience. Okay, Chelsea's squad has talent and youth, but not enough battle-hardened players in tough exact moments. We saw it with defensive misreads, with a lack of killer instincts, where Bayern turned the heat up. The board needs to bring in players who have been there, especially in midfield or defense, who understands how to close matches. We need to have players like that who, when it's time to shut up shop, we bring them on. We had players like that with Mikel Obi. Whenever Mikel Obi came onto the pitch and Chelsea had the lead, it was over. And now we're want to buy players with potentials and all that. And I keep stressing, when we focus on the future, what happens to the now? What happens to the present? Tuchel said that you cannot be focused on the future, ignoring the now. You will not have a future. There won't be a future if you don't take care of the present. And it looks like the board members are so hell-bent on focusing on the future and giving Maresca what they feel they can give to him, even though they don't meet Maresca's standard. Okay, and then the only positive we had yesterday was Cole Palmer showing up and proving to people that he's a man for the big games. He scored a great goal, reminded everyone of his quality, especially coming off injured. This was against before the international break, and it was a fresh of breath there when Enzo Maresca affirmed that Palmer told him that he was fine. The big stage, cool finish. This is what we bought him for. Okay, he steps up where needed, but he cannot keep carrying the team all by himself. With Liam Delap injured for a long period, like he's out till December. Jackson is gone on loan. The only senior striker we have available at Chelsea right now is Joao Pedro with a raw, young, inexperienced Maguire in the squad. And that's not enough. That's not enough physical presence up top. Joao Pedro is a fluid player. He's not a a target man like Liam Delap or Nicholas Jackson. Okay, Chelsea missed out, and we missed not having a target man to roughen the defenders up. Okay, and it's obvious that that gap is there. And I'm going to have to emphasize or talk about Enzo Maresca's game management and tactical adjustment. His substitutions yesterday were late, and these days is not as reactive. Where you expect Maresca to be proactive and very reactive, he takes his time and all that, and it's not good enough. We need to, at some point, he needs to learn. He needs to understand that Esteval Willian, having missed out on with the absence of Liam Delap, so to say, for a few weeks, we need to be able to have options through which we can be able to win games. And keeping Esteval Willian on the bench for till the 80th minute meant like he was comfortable with what the boys were playing. But you could see that there was something wrong. Okay, and then you're taking off Reece James, who has had a better game than Malo Gusto. Reece James is a world-class right back. So I expect that when you're taking off a player, it should be Malo Gusto, and then replace Malo Gusto with Esteval, bring back Reece James to the right back, bring Enzo Fernandez back to the deep of the midfield, and then have Cole Palmer slot right into the 10 where he put initially Enzo Fernandez, and then put Esteval on the right. I believe with that, we would have been able to shake the Bayern Munich backline more than we did yesterday. And I don't really rate the Bayern Munich right and left back. If there was Kimmich playing from the right back, okay, that's a difference. But well, it was Kimmich playing from the center of the field. And I feel like if we had Esteval, maybe from the blast of the whistle, maybe it would be a different result. Barring the lapse in concentration. We could see when Esteval came on in the 10 minutes, there was difference. We need to find a way. Maresca needs to know that these boys, Palmer and Esteval, needs to play together more often. Okay, and then also leads me to another one that I need to. We have seen enough of Enzo Maresca wanting to invert his right back and left back, depending on what game he wants to, what team is up against. But my question is this: when are we going to ever see the traditional wing back playing their traditional role, where they bump up and down, combining with the wingers to create space and create openings for players to attack? When was the last time we saw something like that? That was against Crystal Palace last season, and that was one time. Maresca needs to be flexible tactically, especially in games like this. And then I'm going to wrap my points with this, and it has to do with the mental toughness and the missing dark hearts. There was a reason teams were not in favor of playing against Chelsea. There was a reason why Chelsea used to be the master of dark arts. The kind of teams that frustrate opponents, get under their skins, defend stoutly, make ugly wins. There are times where Chelsea back then, especially under Jose Mourinho, when Chelsea scored a goal, and that was just it. It was game over for the opponent. There was no way the opponent would get a goal back. Everything it took to rattle the opponent, Chelsea knew how to do that. Everything it took to get into the head of the officials, Chelsea knew how to do that. And all these are important details and things that actually put your team ahead of the opponent, gives you an edge advantageously. Bayern Munich yesterday, they looked so comfortable, especially after going ahead on the scoreline. Chelsea could not even find a way to unsettle them. The young players, actually, the players, the Chelsea players, most times than not, they froze in key and important moments. Mistakes that Bayern capitalized on, like the Chalobah's goal, the penalty, the sloppy back pass. They are not new stories. They are not things that are new. They are things that we've seen many times, especially last season. But at this level, you can't just give such margin. Mental resilience, okay, is as important as skill. So this is my takeaway. Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. Chelsea looked promise. They showed promises yesterday, especially in the early phase of the game. Cole Palmer reminded us of why he's a force on his own. Okay, and Bruno Notes' inclusion indicates that the boards are at least aware of the injury crisis, but the board also had a chance to do more. Bring in experience, secure experience, get players who match Maresca's identity, philosophy, and intensity. If Chelsea want to go deeper in the Champions League this season, they need to fix the small details. Concentration, smart squad rotation, in-game tactical shift, more tenacity, and not being overrun by opponents when the game gets tough. Okay, why the Chelsea board were not able to fully back Enzo Maresca in the transfer market, I still cannot say. Okay, except the fact that I feel like Chelsea are not coming out to say that they are financially constrained. But more importantly, I feel like the fans need to start singing. If Maresca's voice is not being heard as well as it should be, maybe the fans need to come together and start crying. Otherwise, we're going to keep going further and further, and teams are starting to not be afraid of us anymore, of Chelsea. Enzo Maresca deserves better. That's all I have for today. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you guys think and who you think was the man of the match for the Chelsea yesterday, who you think played better besides Cole Palmer. And what do you think Chelsea should do against Benfica? And not just Benfica, how Chelsea should react against Manchester United on Saturday. And I hope that they really, really do react. Anyway, yeah, so don't forget to hit the like, hit the bell, subscribe, and comment, as I would like to hear from you. Until we meet again, it's Chelsea first and rivals next. Peace.